Your order of service is online and there are various announcements there, so check them out after the service. Particularly, I want to call your attention to the fact that next week is Flower Communion. So you have 2 more days to send your flowers. All the information is linked to the order of service there. No matter how far away you are, you can give and receive the beauty of flowers next week in our service. It will be very special, although very different than what we have done in the past in person. So I really hope everybody can send a flower. I'd like to introduce our very special guest. The Reverend Stefanie Etzbach-Dale is one of our affiliated community ministers. Her community ministry is called Tending Spirit. She is an interfaith spiritual director as well as a Unitarian Universalist minister. She's a good friend and we're so happy to have her affiliated with our congregation. Also this morning we have initiated the gallery show that was to have been in our main hall of Stefanie's beautiful paintings. Instead, we have an online gallery that you can link to again from the order of service, and all that information is there at your fingertips. I hope you'll enjoy that through the weeks to come. And now, let us begin our service. Please join in singing Rise Up, O Flame.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Our centering words each week come from one of the sources of our living tradition. Today's source is attributed to Kalidasa. You can find this in the gray hymnal if you have it, at number 419. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence. the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream and tomorrow is only a vision, but today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. As we follow the sound of the bell into silence, let us arrive fully in this day that we have together. Let us sing again together. Bruce will lead us in singing Spirit of Life. The words are in your order of service.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning. Our responsive reading for today is found in our hymnal number 536, the Morning Poem by Mary Oliver. I will begin and we'll invite Reverend Amy to read the second parts and for you also to speak at home if you'd like to join in. Every morning, the world is created.
Under the orange sticks of the sun, the heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again.
And fasten themselves to the high branches, and the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies.
If it is your nature to be happy, you will swim away along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere.
And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it is all you can do to keep on trudging,
there is still somewhere deep within you a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted.
each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly every morning.
Whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray.
Sharpie, are we live now?
Hello, everybody. I'm Mr. Bear. Next to me is Ms. Bear, and over there, typing on the laptop, is Dr. Sharpie Ann.
Mr. Bear and I will be chaperoning a stuffed animal sleepover at UUCPA from Friday, June 19th through Sunday, June 21st. And Sharpie will be posting photos on the UUCPA Facebook page. Are you sure you know how to do that, Sharpie?
She has a PhD in CS from MIT, a PhD in physics from Caltech, and she's lead researcher on CERN's Large Hadron Collider. I think she can manage Facebook okay, Ms. Bear.
Well, if you say so. We're going to have lots of fun on the stuffed animal sleepover. Even though UUCPA's buildings are closed to humans, they're not closed to us stuffed animals.
We'll spend Friday night in quarantine. On Saturday, we'll visit all our favorite places on campus. Saturday evening, Ms. Bear is going to show a Wallace and Gromit movie. I love Wallace and Gromit.
We'll get up in time on Sunday to pick flowers so we can be in the flower communion service with Amy, our senior minister. It's too bad that humans can't be there for the flower communion in person, but we stuffed animals can be there.
However, remember that only stuffies whose humans are 18 or under can come on the stuffed animal sleepover.
Please ask your human to register you in advance so we can have a name tag for you. Tell your human all the details are in the June CYRE newsletter, or you can email Dr. Sharpie.
I think, yes, Dr. Sharpie has already put her email address on screen. Thank you, Dr. Sharpie.
Stuffies, we hope to see you on Friday.
See you soon!
I hope I hope your stuffies are coming, because I am counting on seeing a whole lot of them at our flower communion. It made me so happy to know that somebody would be here for flower communion in person. So send a crowd. This is the time to share our joys and sorrows. So you can send them to the chat right here, and I will share them aloud for everybody who needs to hear them aloud. And also you can send them to joyconcern@uucpa.org, and I will check them as we go. I want to begin by lighting a candle for Bryce Perry, as I did not last week, not having quite worked out the logistics of being able to see the candle. Bryce left us on June 2nd to our great sorrow, and his memorial service is now scheduled for 2 p.m. on Sunday, June 28th, on Zoom, of course. We light this candle to symbolize the great light that his life was and that his spirit continues to be within us. And all the information about joining his memorial service will be sent to all via our Announce and CRE Parents email lists. This bouquet is from Heart and Home, whose last night here this year will be tonight. I am happy to share that the participants have all made their plans for where to go next, and that there are beds for all of them at other shelters. We're very fortunate to have been able to extend their time here through this shelter in place. It's been a real blessing for us in so many ways. And we're fortunate to be able to continue to serve the community and to have our campus not be empty, because Thatcher Child Care Center reopens tomorrow, providing care for the children of essential workers. That's so important. Let's take a moment just of silence to hold the strength of our connection, that despite technical problems and physical distance, we are here for one another. And we hold one another's sorrows and our celebrations together. We celebrate together, we mourn together, and thus make our joys a little sweeter and our sorrows a little lighter to bear. Let us hold in prayer all that we have heard. Blessed be.
Our centering words and responsive reading both draw attention to the preciousness of the present moment. Look to this day, whatever your nature, whatever you carry, even if it be a heavy stone. It seems safe to say that these days, many of us feel weighted, preoccupied by who and what has already been lost, and by a future so uncertain. The present moment is complex, and it asks so very much of us. At the same time, still, it offers so very much. When we take the time to still the fears, to set aside just temporarily the anxiety, the grief, the rage, it is possible to catch a glimpse of something that reminds us there is more to the present than what is most readily evident. We are more than our worry, and the future is not yet written. So I invite you now in this moment to connect with that stillness. In this moment, there is nothing for you to do than to be exactly where you are. And so the question is, where are you? Notice where you are. What can you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? As we move into a brief time of silence, I invite you again to just notice and breathe and notice and breathe and recognize what a gift that breath is. At the sound of the bell, you may turn your attention to the images that we'll be sharing, photos of ordinary moments taken by ordinary people, learning to recognize the extraordinary in the present. Environmentalist, poet, farmer Wendell Berry wrote that there are no unsacred places. There are only sacred places and desecrated places. I have always had an eye for the sacred. I grew up knowing to look to the orange sticks of the sun, to the ponds and leaves and blazing lilies, especially when confronted with the ugly truth that human beings can and do desecrate so much. I found much solace and hope in the ability to make choices about what I would focus on, choosing to emphasize the beauty and the joy that can be found right alongside, and sometimes even right in the midst of life's challenges, its ugliest, most frightening moments. This glass half full approach has been promoted in many cultures on behalf of the gratitude that is owed to our Creator and to our ancestors, on behalf of the abundance that is the sacred hoop of life itself. According to those traditions and to Oprah, even if or when life gets ugly, there is so much good, so much for which to be grateful, always. There are gems hidden among the weeds. There are promises lying in wait. Blessings abound for those who know to claim them. Trusting this, cultivating the vision for and the commitment to that truth has worked for me. It has saved me for a really long time. It has helped me to not just sink to my knees in despair, weeping when confronted with desecrated places, desecrated landscapes and lives, ideals, hopes, and dreams. Trusting in life's promise has helped me to not forget that beauty and creative potential do still exist, and it has helped me to keep watch for these, to engage with them. And that is no small feat. As part of my spiritual practice for many years now, I've been looking very intently at the ordinary. I've been looking into shadows and into the underbrush and into piles of refuse, allowing the textures and the colors and the shapes and compositions to speak to my heart. I listen for what they tell me of life's complexity and resilience, of the identity and purpose and impact of things beyond the most obvious. I take pictures and I post them on social media with the words that come to me during my meditations. This year, I created a page for others to join me in that practice, and some of the photos you just saw were from that group. Participants tell me that this practice has helped them also cultivate an eye for the beauty that they might otherwise have overlooked. It's helped them stay curious about life and attentive and engaged even in ugly times. And that is gratifying. At the same time, I am growing aware of what a privilege it is to make that kind of choice. What a privilege it is to tune out that which offends one's sensibilities and to just turn one's lens onto the beautiful. But that is the human preference, isn't it? Perhaps because we have no stomach for ugliness or discordance and for what it asks of us, or because doing so makes it easier to await the fulfillment of whatever we believe has been promised to us. A couple of weeks ago, for the Jewish holiday of Shavuot, I was invited by a local synagogue to share my reflections on a Torah portion that felt significant to me, and I chose the story of Jacob's ladder in Genesis. Here's a quick recap. Jacob, having tricked his father into giving him a blessing meant for his brother, leaves home. A smart move, one can imagine. It's getting late, it's getting dark, and he stops for the night, and he takes a stone for a pillow because that's all he has, and he manages somehow to fall asleep. And he has a dream. A fantastic vision in which a ladder reaches up to the heavens from the ground right in front of him, with angels, messengers of God, ascending and descending that ladder, going up and down. It is spectacular. At this point, God appears. God appears and promises Jacob and his countless descendants blessings far exceeding the one that he finagled from his father. Blessings that millennia later continue to inform Jewish identity and politics. Jacob wakes up, awestruck. Nothing is the same. He is shaken to the core. Everything looks different now. What seemed like such an ordinary place is suddenly infused with the power of that vision and God's promises, and he now recognizes that place as sacred. And he wonders how it could be that he had not recognized that place as the abode of God, as the gateway to heaven when he chose to stop there. How indeed? To commemorate this amazing, luminous experience, now a mere memory, Jacob takes the rock on which he slept and he sets it up as a shrine and he consecrates it with oil. This ancient story spoke to me for a number of reasons. First, because I know what it is, like Jacob, to want to run away from my past, from things I'm not particularly proud of having done. I'm also part of a culture adept at manipulating people to its own advantage, as Jacob did. This country has a long history of taking things that are not its birthright. So I can unfortunately relate to that desire to put distance between myself and that past, as an individual and as an American citizen. What got me about this story is that Jacob has this amazing, mind-blowing vision of angels ascending and descending, a luminous ladder and sparks of light being carried up and divine blessings being brought down. So much activity, so much unifying motion. The two worlds, heaven and earth, mingling, connected, involved in active interchange right there, and he does nothing. He dreams on. He is passive, a spectator. He doesn't even seem curious about what's going on. He seems quite content to take in God's promise. He doesn't argue, he doesn't question, he doesn't even say, cool, thanks. He is not at all interested in the incredible opportunity for action presented by the appearance of that ladder. And then, of course, the ladder's gone. And he does what so many of us do when some unexpected event, beneficial or tragic, has come and gone. We build shrines. We build monuments to the experience, and that's what he does too. The actual experience of the miraculous, of God's presence and the promise, all of that passes. That opportunity presented by that light-filled portal passes, and it becomes stone. Stone anointed with oil, but still just stone in a landscape already littered with stone. I've read this story many times before, but this time I was so drawn to what those angels were transporting up and carrying back down, and I just wanted to shake him out of his stupor and yell, "Wake up, Jacob! What are you waiting for? It's all happening right now. Wake up. Don't just sleep through it. Do something. Climb. Join the angels. Bring down those blessings. We need them so badly. And then you can build your shrine." That's exactly the same sentiment that has reverberated for me through the dark night of our weeks of shelter in place, at the center of which I could not help but recognize a ladder that too many of us did not see, or did not want to see, or did not choose to climb. Because, well, promises were being made. Promises that things would soon return to normal, and normal is what we human beings crave. So I gave this talk at the synagogue recently, and I gave it hesitantly, nervous that my outsider critique of Jacob would not be well received. And I was fully aware of the fact that it is natural to be, as I surmise Jacob was, shocked, in denial, wanting to just wait and see what happens. It is natural to put one's hopes into getting back to normal, getting back on track and continuing the journey. It's what we all want. So I was moved to speak from the conviction that there are always other possibilities and necessities. Those pointed to, for example, by both Judaic and Unitarian Universalist teachings, reminding us that while promises are fine and good, there are things we need to be doing to help fulfill them. That we are called, each in our own way, to raise our sparks and to bring down blessings upon one another all the time, no matter where we are or what we're looking at. Whether it be recognized as sacred space or as desecrated space, and I have to say particularly in the latter instance. Thankfully, my interpretation was welcome and well received, but as recently as a week ago, just as the news of the murder of George Floyd began to spread, something shifted. I began to recognize myself in Jacob's passivity. I saw that a ladder was once again in our midst, an opportunity to raise our sparks and to bring blessings down upon one another, and this time I couldn't move. I was glued to my phone and to the TV set, and I listened for the promises of our elected leaders to tend justice, and I was horrified to discover the discordance between reports of motives and methods across the country, and then I was awestruck, blown away by those who took to the streets all over the world. All those people sacralizing the streets with their righteous outrage and with their bended knees and their songs and their prayers. And as much as I like to think of myself as a non-violent person, a respecter of private property, I was stunned to suddenly recognize sacred ground within the desecrated spaces of violent protest. I watched with awe the unfolding of events and the mingling of worlds, and I saw a ladder among us, a precious opportunity to sacralize that and those so long desecrated by racist ideologies and institutions. And so I sat there trying to figure out which was the greater good. To go to the protests on behalf of those endangered or already dead because of racism, or to stay home on behalf of those endangered by COVID, of which I am one. And I never did reach out for the rungs of that ladder. I never did make an active choice about whether or not to join those protests. I was motionless. And that was as much due to the privilege that I carry, as was my habit of tuning out the ugly in order to focus on and take photos of only the beautiful and the harmonious. In both instances, I had choices. My guilt about not going to the protests, it can be medically justified. It can also be softened by choosing other forms of engagement and activism, and there are many ways to help build the arc of justice. That choice is a privilege I have because of my skin color. I could also have chosen to acknowledge through my photographs that which is not so beautiful. I could have chosen to acknowledge reality in its fuller complexity, because the thing is, nothing is unsacred. Nothing is unworthy of our attention. Every moment is worthy and full of promise, and so fleeting, so fleeting. And that brings me here to this moment in our collective history, woven as it is, of light and shadow, of grief and exuberance, of fear and faith, destructiveness and creativity, the sacred and the desecrated, as it always has been. It's just easier to recognize it now. We are on sacred ground. We are sacred ground. Truly nothing and no one is unsacred. How could I not have known it? The gateway to heaven, which is just another name for justice, is right here and right now. And there are choices to make, and there is privilege to apply. And I, for one, intend to cultivate an eye for it. What is this privilege? How has it contributed to this moment? What is being asked of me? It is time to wake up, to raise whatever truth we can gather up, whatever truth we can find, and bring down among us whatever blessings we are able, because this moment in history is sacred ground, because the shrine that most needs to be erected must be a lasting monument to our willingness right now to be fully present to one another in all of our frustratingly complex and precious diversity. I'm going to be a grandmother in September for the first time. And I want my grandchildren to see monuments, to see stones erected on behalf of this moment as a turning point in the history of humanity. There are choices to be made always. There is privilege to apply. So may we choose wisely and not miss the opportunity among us. Friends, the ladder is here right now. Blessed be.
Steffi, thank you so much for that that amazing and timely message. I needed it very much. Thank you. Now we accept as we receive the gifts that support this liberal religious community. You can follow the QR code or the link from your order of service, or try out Give Lively either on that link or by sending the text message UUCPA offering, all one word, to the number 44321. Let us gratefully receive the bounty that we are given. let us join Bruce in singing Return Again. The song is a round, so as you become familiar with it, you might try singing the first part while Bruce sings the second and vice versa. The lyrics are in your order of service.
In this time of worlds revealed and long hidden truths raised up, may we wake up to where and who we really are. May we wake up to the sacred ground of the present, to who we are called to become, and to the blessings in our power to bestow upon one another here and now. So may it be.
We are going to try something new today after the service. During our chaotic coffee time, maybe we'll make it a little less chaotic by dividing everyone up into small groups called Zoom breakout rooms. This happens automatically. It's a grand experiment we're trying out, and we'll see how it goes. And BJ would love to hear from you how it is for you at the end of the day. Zoom will automatically assign you to a breakout room. You can choose to join the breakout room or stay in the main Zoom call. That's your choice. And if you get into a room and you want to leave, you can click on the leave room button. So, and I will be moving around as will Reverend Stefanie, visiting different breakout rooms to say hi to as many people as possible. So I do hope you will stick around for a while. After 10 minutes, the tech folks will send out an announcement telling you that the call is ending. So let us all unmute ourselves. Go ahead and turn on your video so that we can say the benediction together. It's printed there in your order of service.
Oh, remind me it's 7.
Go out into the world
into
of good
courage.
Hold fast
To what is good.
Return no one.
No one
for evil. The faint-hearted. Support the weak.
Help
the suffering.
rejoice
in duty.
love.
love with word and deed. Honor all beings.
Amen.